Hello, my name is Matthew, and I don't often talk about poetry on this channel, but I do read quite a bit of poetry, and I have um, poems that I know by heart and read and reread. Certain poets that I just absolutely love. I'm a huge fan of the Romantics in general, Coleridge and Wordsworth, Byron, Shelley, Keats. But I want to talk about a poem by W.B. Yeats. And the reason that it came to mind was I was talking to a friend earlier today about poetry in general and reading more poetry, maybe. Um, and I thought of a specific poem by Yeats, and it's called um, The Circus Animal's Desertion. And my first encounter with this poem uh, was actually somebody reciting it to me, and it was my old friend Bob, who had read everything and was instrumental in helping me find the appreciation and enjoyment, musicality and lyricism and emotion and meaning that you can find in the work of great poets. And um, Bob had a special gift that his retention really was incredible, and he could recite poems by heart. He could recite passages and sometimes whole poems. And The Circus Animal's Desertion was a poem that, however it came about, we were talking about poetry, and he recited it to me. And this is maybe 20 years ago, and I've never forgotten it. I went out and found the poem, and through the years have read it quite often. And not only did he read the poem to me, but we talked about it, and um, I wish he could describe it, but he was telling me about Yeats, and he was absolutely in love with W.B. Yeats. And he talked about how sometimes you hear that artists or musicians or authors or poets, um, their their natural talent or genius or work ethic or imaginative powers diminish as they get older. And it was Bob's thought or observation that that was not the case for W.B. Yeats. In fact, quite the opposite. As he got older, he got more raw and edgier and more powerful, more profound, and use stronger language. And it's evident that the later period of W.B. Yeats was some of my friend Bob's most beloved um, poems and poetry. And The Circus Animal's Desertion, the way I learned about it and the way I think about it, I haven't spent much time reading. I've spent no time reading critical analysis. It's just the influence from my friend Bob and my own thoughts. Uh, it's a poem of either old age or, at the very least, no longer being in the spring of youth. And to be an artist or musician or a poet or a novelist, and having that experience of some form of writer's block or some artistic block where you feel like your imaginative powers are no longer what they used to be. And that the poem, the circus animals' desertion, the circus animals are those imaginative elements that come to artists and birth the fruit of whatever creative endeavor. And at this moment of being at a loss for creativity, all the circus animals, all of your ideas have abandoned you. The artist, the narrator, the focal point of the poem, he then turns himself within and uses his experiences in his life and starts mining himself. It was Daphne, mining himself for new, powerful, creative expression. And I'm going to read the poem now. I might talk a little bit more afterwards. It's been a while since I've read it. I did want to show these 3 wonderful volumes. I've spent so much time reading Yeats. I have the collected poems of Yeats. I have another complete poems of Yeats. I have a little very pretty decorative smaller edition of Yeats poetry. I have his plays. I love his plays, by the way. Maybe I'm actually thinking now about reading one in particular. But I also have these gorgeous facsimile editions. This was the newest one, The Wild Swans at Cool. And it's by Macmillan, I believe, or Simon & Schuster, I'm sorry, Scribner. And this is how the edition came out when it was first published. And it's absolutely beautiful. And Yeats spent a great deal of attention to the cover design and the proportion and the colors and the font and the typographical design, the size, to make these beautiful, wonderful editions. And this is one of the newer ones. These 2, admittedly, are quite more battered because I would lug these things all over. And this is The Tower, and this has Sailing to Byzantium. That is no country for old men, the young in one another's arms, birds in the trees, those dying generations at their song. Salmon falls, the mackerel crowded seas, fish, flesh, or fowl commend all summer long. Whatever is begotten, born, and dies, caught in that sensual music, all neglect, monuments of unaging intellect. Fantastic. And the last facsimile edition that I have, I don't know if they've made subsequent editions. That might be something I'll look into, but this is The Winding Stair. Again, quite beat up and battered, and here's a tarot card, and also quite loved. But with all that being said, I'll read the circus animals' Desertion, and every time I read it, just for personal experience, I'm brought back to this visceral, vivid memory of my youth, of an old friend who's now dead, reciting it to me. And there was a constant wonder and astonishment, to hear someone have these poems in their heart and also at the tip of their tongue. And my bookmark is Ram. The Circus Animals Desertion by WB Yeats. I sought a theme and sought for it in vain. I sought it daily for 6 weeks or so. Maybe at last, being but a broken man, I must be satisfied with my heart, although winter and summer till old age began, my circus animals were all on show. Those stilted boys that burnished chariot, lion and woman, and the Lord knows what. What can I but enumerate old themes? First, that sea rider, Oisin, led by the nose. Through 3 enchanted islands, allegorical dreams, vain gaiety, vain battle, vain repose. Themes of the embittered heart, or so it seems, that might adorn old songs or courtly shows. But what cared I that set him on to ride? I, starved for the bosom of his fairy bride. And then a counter-truth filled out its play. The Countess Kathleen was the name I gave it. She, pity-crazed, had given her soul away, but masterful heaven had intervened to save it. I thought my dear must her own soul destroy. So did fanaticism and hate enslave it. And this brought forth a dream, and soon enough this dream itself had all my thought and love. And when the fool and blind man stole the bread, Cuchulainn fought the ungovernable sea. Heart mysteries there, and yet when all is said, it was the dream in self enchanted me. Character isolated by a deed to engross the present and dominate memory. Players and painted stage took all my love, and not those things that were emblems of. This is my favorite part. Those masterful images, because complete, grew in pure mind, but out of what began a mound of refuse or the sweepings of a street. Old kettles, old bottles, and a broken can. Old iron, old bones, old rags, that raving slut. Who keeps the till, now that my ladder's gone? I must lie down where all the ladders start, in the foul rag and bone shop of the heart. That last line, I just think is absolutely phenomenal. In the foul rag and bone shop of the heart. Powerful, strong, and relatable, and still strange, and otherworldly, and dreamlike, and in a world of imagination, and also plumbing the depths of her own inner workings. I just absolutely love this poem. I love the memories that it brings me. I love the language of WB Yeats. And so let me put my bookmark back in. Those are a recital and some of my thoughts on Yeats in general, and one of my very many favorite poems by Yeats. If you've read it, please let me know. If you were a fan of Yeats, please let me know. you enjoy hearing me talk about poetry. I would also be interested to know. I mostly talk about typically novels, but I read a lot of. I read a lot, but I also read a lot of other things. So, if this is something that might be interesting to someone, um, please let me know. It's Andy sleeping there. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment if you would like. Thank you and take care.